Partnered by Times Influence.
Symbiosis Institute of Operations Management HR Summit 2017 is a unique conclave that aims to disseminate the best industry practices, trends, insights and experiences from some of the biggest HR minds across corporate India on one knowledge-sharing stage. Hosted by Symbiosis Institute of Operations Management, this summit is dedicated solely to operations management, where student minds and skills are nurtured so as to make them masters in corporate markets by making cost-effective decisions, thereby becoming strong and confident potential leaders. Focusing on the theme HR Reincarnation, a leap towards next-gen human capital, industry experts and faculty members took to the stage to light the holy lamp.
We would now like to invite Dr. Vandana Sonvane on the dais to share her thoughts and ideas regarding the event.
I'm thrilled to welcome you all to this edition of HR Summit 2017. It's always an exciting time to host HR Summit for the very fact that it's different. So anything what's different excites SIOM. We as operations people hosting an HR Summit, the first question I need to answer to all the audience and the HR and the speakers is, why operations for HR, right? So because it's different, I think because it's important, because it talks of things which are different, because it deliberates, brainstorms and makes us, it brings in courage to really make people sit and listen and hear about things which are happening differently in our environments. I think that's what excites us. I think we are walking on the right roads because the 500 people whom I saw, out of that more than nearly 60% of the people were millennials. And I think we are talking about the right things. We are all in the right mood to, have this experience of learning more. Thank you so much and have a nice day.
Symbiosis Institute of Operations Management HR Summit 2017 opened avenues for healthy conversations between speakers and an enthused audience.
As per John Cotter, 70 to 80% of strategies fail because of flawed execution. And I was telling Sonamne, operational excellence, whether it's Disney World, Starbucks, or Baskin Robbins, or General Motors, it's operations. Believe you me, behind all the strategic glamour that you see, it's really good, old-fashioned, hardcore operations. And I'm very, very happy to be here because you're right at the cutting edge of operational excellence. So great tribute to Symbiosis Institute of Operational Management, and I have huge respect. It's an honor being here. It's an honor being here. MIT did a study, along with Deloitte, of 25,000 corporate and students in 2015, and they said millennials, and she kept insisting millennials, which is very right, because by 2020, 70% of global workforce will be millennials. 70% of global workforce, as per a Deloitte study, right? And they say, we want to work for a digital leader. Why? Because the youngsters here, if they work for a non-digital leader, he will retire in 3 years, and guess what's happened to this 3-year guy, 3-year experienced guy? He's become obsolete because he's worked for a non-digital guy. So today's generation, may I repeat, is not bothered about employment. I repeat, not bothered about employment, but with employability. And digital is at the core of employability.
So what actually stimulates talent today? Keeping it very simple, 3 things. Number 1, give me a challenge. You will have a detailed report and you will have many expectations that talent has got today. And I'm saying everyone, I'm just replacing employee, the word employee with talent here because I'm respecting employees. Because I'm respecting the fact that everybody has got strength. So it's not that there are only some ABC. They need challenge. Number 2, they need recognition and growth. They need appreciation for the work that has actually been put up by them, the work that they've put in, and the kind of opportunities they get for growth. So today's talent is actually stimulated with give them challenge, give them recognition, give them growth, and they are yours.
To discuss the importance of tackling fear, uncertainty, and doubt, a panel of industry experts took to the stage to share their insights with the audience.
Amit, with your 2.5 decades of experience in HR, you have seen most of the, how it's been and there. What I would like to understand from you, how HR has evolved, and has this been a real change?
Thanks, Abhirup. A lot has changed, actually. This is a question that, on the relevance of HR, which I get asked a lot. And there is equally an opportunity for HR and HR professionals to step up and seize the opportunity. And I think what will determine their success going forward, to me, are 2 points. The first is how proactively the function and professionals seize this opportunity very quickly, to take this function to where it needs to be. And they won't have another 21 years, unfortunately, to do that. And secondly, how successfully businesses enable HR to succeed, because it is in their interest, to make that happen. And I would learn from the examples of, companies that have really achieved a differentiated standing in their own industries. I have come from technology, where I've spent the last couple of years. Every technology engineer that I know of wants to be part of either a Google or a Facebook or an Apple, and not without reason, because these companies have certainly done a lot when it comes to inspiring leadership or giving exposure to cutting edge technologies, or just the work culture that people want to be part of. So I would learn from the examples of these organizations and what HR has done to deliver value to the business, before we sort of start to write the obituaries and so on.
Right. With that, I'll come to Don. So Don, how do you think the current CHRO or the Chief People Officer role going to change in the near future with the advent of technology, millennials? So how do you think it will evolve?
I think that, technology is inevitable. And I think that, there's a lot of stuff happening out, a lot of changes, whether you call it big data, Internet of Things. A lot of these things would actually impact, businesses, and they would also impact HR and people. I think that one particular observation that probably could be looked at is that companies may need to look at a chief adoption officer, or you call it a function that actually is focusing on how different technologies, how different developments that are taking place in the environment are actually going to impact an organization.
We have somebody in our panel who's not from the HR background. Pooja, you've been handling branding and employee communications for so long. And how do you think in this scenario where employees are afraid, employees are not being able to know whether my, when I'm going for the job tomorrow, whether my seat will be taken by somebody else or whether it will be empty or redundant, how do you think employee communication add value? And have you seen change much, with the advent of technology in way, internal as well as external from an organization perspective? Has it changed, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, in my years of experience, what I know for a fact that traditional communications is fast getting replaced with change communications. Everything about communications in an organization now is about change. I think change offers us communicators a great opportunity to add value to an organization, because being communications professional, it is important that the change is communicated to the lowest denominator of the organization on an emotional level. Having said that, I think there are 3 things that need to be kept in mind when communicating change. One is that it needs to have leadership sponsorship, and it needs to come from the leader. Any number of emails being sent out to employees will not really drive home the point. So it is important for leaders to be communicating any major organizational change in a company. That means that there need to be a lot of touch points, a lot of conversations between leaders or a change leader with employees. And it is also important that the content for change is more emotional in nature than intellectual.
Thank you so much. It was a real pleasure, and thank you. All the panelists have been really insightful. And thank you, everyone. It's been a lovely audience. Thank you so much. And I hope it was insightful.
HR Summit 2017 is a flagship event of SIOM. We have been doing it relentlessly year on year since 2009. Today, the experiential research and learning process has resulted into, I think, two keywords. Empathy and design thinking is the combination which we are looking out for.
Symbiosis Institute of Operations Management HR Summit 2017 became the one-stop destination for students to get first-hand information from industry experts about taking advantage of resources in a corporate environment. Jyotirmay Bose of White Spaces Consulting brought his views on HR operations being a catalyst for business prowess.
And HR has now split into three areas: a talent manager, organization designer. Just remember that human beings work within the construct or constraint or daira of a system. And unless you're Hanuman or Superman, you can't break the system. And if you are Hanuman, you'll be high maintenance and big ego and arrogant and all of that. So it's not necessarily good for me to hire and try to retain my brightest and best. It's not a scalable model, but companies miss that point. So you have to be able to get better work from average people rather than get great people and want to hold on to them. Sorry, anathema to HR people maybe, because they're obsessed with the word talent. But anyway, having said that, talent management is one thing. And systems work within the daira or construct of a structure. Let me give an example. The fabulous Worli Sea Link Bridge, right? What a superstructure, right? But it is structurally flawed when it lands in Worli, right? What a beautiful thing, lands in Worli and then you have a traffic jam. All of you experienced it? So, and then they try to put a one-way, they put barricades. You cannot solve a problem, a structural flaw by systems. They try to put system, it will never work. The structure is flawed. So organization design, most HR people don't have a clue and they stay out of it. So organization design presumes and requires a prerequisite for understanding the business. But it is certainly an HR piece for the taking, and a big impactful one, more than talent. Under-recognized, underappreciated, but hugely leverageable.
To discuss employee-friendly opportunities and productivity from the start, a panel of experts came together and brought their industry expertise on the topic to the forefront.
When you hire good talent and you raise their aspirations and you develop, so it also then the chances are that this is known in the industry and you become the poaching ground.
Yes.
So how have you ring-fenced these people when you, or sometimes it may so happen that yes, this guy is being selected by Thermax, must be a good guy in 5th semester itself, lure him by paying a few thousand more and take him. So how do you manage to ring-fence these guys?
When we find somebody good, we make the pre-placement offer, believe me, in the 5th semester. You have to dare. You have to completely trust yourself and trust the guy.
Yeah.
Once you make a pre-placement offer, he is out of the placement process as far as his college is concerned. Yeah, so that's one thing we do. Second, according to me, the definition of loyalty has changed, and I started my career in HR in 1984. The definition of loyalty has changed. Loyalty is not about 15 years, 20 years. Loyalty is about 3 to 4 years, but giving 110% to the organization in those 3-4 years. So I know that my guy is going to go away, most likely. I mean, it's sad, but our average stay of GET has now come down to 7 to 8 years. Yeah, that's a reality. But we are trying to increase it by offering them an executive MBA program with IMT Ghaziabad, and it's a degree program. Secondly, it also tells you can't remain dependent completely on the engineering program, graduate engineer program. So we started a diploma engineering program, and it has become exceedingly popular in the company. And that's what we do. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Sanjeevani, you talked about the cultural alignment, and I know you have a very good induction program where you try and ensure that the people stay aligned. When the new guys come, they get aligned to the culture. How do you do that?
So, in fact, we are still struggling with the GT program, just to take on with Sharad. But I think some time back when we actually started looking at our cadre resourcing, and that's where our management trainees come in. One thing we really realized is the average tenure was what, 2.5 years. And like Sharad said, it's about what is the reciprocal buy-in of the person that you hire in. And we really thought that the interview time, and most of us are very familiar with the bloodbath on campus these days, 30 minutes, finish the interview, give an offer, open envelope, closed envelope, etc., etc. And we said it's not enough time for us, nor is it enough time for the person who is sitting across the table to evaluate us, right? It's a mutual process. Because it's important for us also to ensure that the individual is successful. It's just not about attracting that person to the organization, but also enabling that person. We use psychometrics, we use career anchors, we are using strengths finder, just to ensure that you're supporting some of these freshers, especially, to understand what is their mojo, and whether they want to do what is expected out of the organization.
You mentioned that people when they join, they actually form some opinion based on their own through their own network. So how do you ensure that this opinion is rightly formed when the new joiner comes in?
We do not oversell the job. The induction, almost at the time of offer is being made, we start talking to the person. If he has any concerns, if he has heard anything, he can tell us. So that it starts from there. The moment we decided to make an offer to the individual, we know he may or may not join, but we check with him or her, the candidate. And as the day draws closer, we are in touch with them over the phone. And it's done specifically with a purpose to know, just not to know whether the person is joining or not, but to see how comfortable he is, whether he can find the place and things like that. What we do is we have a very, very robust induction program, which is not something very different from others. But what we do differently is important. We have a system where the individual, whichever function he joins, goes through a cultural template called JK Way of Being. JK Way of Being has been created by our own leadership team in the last 6 months, which talks of, even if I don't want to attend your meeting, I should tell you in advance that I'm not able to come and not make you person wait. As simple as down to that level. There are some principles on which you're supposed to follow. We take the individual through and we tell him that this is the culture we want to work with. Maybe it might look like mundane, it's known to all, but remember, we Indians may be very good in business dealing, but on the foreign land, you have to do in Rome, do as Romans do.
Keeping up with day-to-day trends, speakers also discuss critical issues like design thinking and the millennial age.
In order to do HR design, you need to empathize, envision, and experiment. The same thing. Observe, seek, right? Prototyping, testing, and then launching. So here they say empathize. Now in empathize, what's very beautiful is look and listen and define your customer personas. Who are your customer personas? The first-time moms in your company is a separate persona. The freshers from college is a separate persona. I sometimes feel tired. People are talking about millennial. What about the baby boomers who are still in the workforce in their 50s and are going to retire in another 10 years? Who's taking care of them? They are your persona. And therefore, customizing and talking to them and therefore servicing their needs, that's what it's all about. And my request to SIOM is to look at design thinking not as a formal course or a degree, but embed it in the day-to-day learning of your children, because the means and chain theory says education in design is a mean to design know-how. And when there is design know-how, qualified design professionals will come out, well-designed processes and products will come out, which means economic competitiveness, which means institute competitiveness, which means the students are competitive, which means more jobs get created, more economic wealth, more better quality of life.
One important question which I keep getting from a lot of people is, why is that millennials quit early? Well, the answer is, we think, and that's our DNA, that someone joins an organization, stays with the organization till he or she is supposed to retire. I think the issue is really about our thinking. Now, there is an amount of analytics which was done in the space of exits of millennials, and it throws a very good insight, which is good for all of us to remember, is that if a millennial is spending close to 3 years with an organization, that's a great hire you made, by the way. So the sooner you accept the reality, which is thrown from data, the better it is for decision making. So if you are able to churn productivity in 3 years as much as you want, which is based on your ROI math which you build, dollar impact per employee measurement metrics, I think that's a great hire. So these discussions around millennials quit fast, their aspiration to change and all of that, I don't see a lot of sense in that conversation. The data clearly shows 3 years is a great insight.
Now we'd like to call upon Professor Yashomandira Kharde, the faculty mentor for HR Summit 2017, to give the vote of thanks.
I would like to start and state a quote here. As Ginny Romiti rightly said, the only way you survive is you continuously transform in something else. It is this idea of continuous transformation that makes you an innovation company. Change is the only constant, and it is rapidly changing the market environment that puts the HR managers at the very heart of a successful business. This day, filled with industry talks, learning experiences, made the entire effort worthwhile. I would personally like to thank all my speakers and the guests for making this day a completely memorable one. The motto of this year's HR Summit, HR Reincarnation, has led to an energetic discussions about how an HR will transform business and pave the way ahead for them. We at SIOM are eternally grateful to have you all, and an undue credit goes to all of you who have made this event a grand success. Thank you very much.
Without taking any more time, we, Damini
and Arun,
sign off, handing over the reins to Ms. Suchi Srivastava, the convener of HR Summit 2017.
The day is at the end, and what are we carrying back with us? Is it just the knowledge about the latest trends of the industries, or the new reincarnation methods tailored and implemented by the HR professionals? Isn't there a lot more than that? Such conclaves and summits make you feel alive in the midst of such eminent personalities of the industry. Today, we've had such renowned experts among us who shared with us not only about the experiences and opinions about the next-gen human capital, but also the ideology behind it, which forms its backbone. HR Summit 2017 team, you had shown an exemplary conviction to perform your level best and delivered an event as grand as this. Thank you.
Under one roof, we have learned the digital HR strategy and capacity building and digital thinking. So different dignitaries came here to share their views on the digital HR strategies, plus the capacity building, design thinking. Also, today's world is a totally digital era. So internet is the most important thing. And we are linking the HR operations. So we are an operations institute. So we are connecting with the industry. So here we are regularly talking about the connectivity. So you have to connect with the industry persons.
How the millennials are going to contribute in the business in the future. So the 4 points has been highlighted. One is the culture that the millennials are going to see when they are choosing for the companies, and one is compensation, and one is the culture, and one is the cause for what they are going to work. So I think these are the few points that companies will be keeping in mind when they are going for the recruitment, and through this platform I think the audience as well as the faculty and staff members will keep in mind while we'll be introducing or while we'll be delivering the sessions in the classrooms. That will be really helpful.
Partnered by Times Influence.